At this time, I would direct the defendant, Mr. Valle, to please retake the witness stand. I'll just remind you that you do remain under the obligations of the oath that you took when you went to the witness stand. Thank you. And then adjourn. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. The jury counsel, please stipulate to the return of our jurors.
State will stipulate, Your Honor. Defense stipulates, Your Honor.
All right, I'll direct the state to continue this cross-examination.
Thank you, Your Honor. So, Lito, after you stabbed Jimmy McGrath on May 14th of 2022, you indicated on direct examination you dove towards the car. Remember that?
Yes.
And then you indicated you got into the front passenger seat of the car, right?
Yes.
And when you got in the front passenger seat of the car at that moment, Tyler DeSilva wasn't in the car at that moment, was he?
No.
Tyler got in a few moments after you, right?
Yes.
And before Tyler DeSilva gets in the car, you tell Jack, oh my fucking God, I just stabbed 4 kids, correct?
No. When I first got into the car, he tried to drive off, and I said, wait.
So you don't admit to Jack that you stabbed 4 kids?
No.
But you would agree with me that, in hindsight, you did stab 4 kids, right?
I didn't know who I stabbed or where I stabbed him or when.
I'm going to ask a very simple question that requires a yes or no answer. You would agree, in hindsight, that you stabbed 4 kids, correct?
I don't know who got stabbed or where they got stabbed.
As you sit here today, you would agree that you stabbed 4 kids, correct?
Yes.
So at some point, Tyler gets in the car, right?
Yes.
And the car is facing, if I may approach the witness, Your Honor. Stage 1. The car is facing Adams Drive, correct?
Yeah.
And you get in the car and Jack drives straight, correct?
Yes.
And he takes a left down Adams Drive, right?
I'm not sure.
So you were not paying attention as to where you were driving? But at some point in time, very shortly after you getting in the car stops in a cul-de-sac, right?
I don't know where it stopped.
And you get out of the car with the knife and throw it into the woods, correct?
No.
So your testimony today is that you get out of the car, you tell Jack to stop, right?
Yes.
You get out of the car, right?
Yes.
And at that moment, the one thing you were concerned about was looking at your ribs. That was your testimony on direct?
Yeah, I had a very sharp pain on my rib.
You weren't concerned with the fact that you just stabbed 4 kids at that point, right?
I didn't know who got stabbed or where they got
But you
stabbed.
recall stabbing some kids at the party, right?
I was just flailing my arm around.
So you had no idea you stabbed anybody at the house?
No.
You were just flailing back and forth like this, swiping motions.
Everything.
When you got in Jack's car, you didn't call the police at that point, did you?
No.
In fact, after you drove, when you first got to 43 Laurel Glen and you drove down the street, you didn't call the police at that point, right?
No.
And you didn't call the police when you got out of the car down the street at the intersection of Laurel Glen and Farmhouse Lane, correct?
No.
And you didn't call the police just slightly before you went back to 43 Laurel Glen, right?
No.
So at some point you get back in the car after checking your ribs, right? You determine you were okay.
Yes.
There was nothing was going on. You used the light from inside of the car, right? That's your testimony?
Yes.
You get back in the car and you drive back to where Will, McKenzie, Dimitri, and Keenan were, right?
There was nobody like.
There was nobody there?
No, they were in the car.
So Mackenzie's sister was already there.
Yes.
So my point is you drove back to the area where those kids were, your
Yes.
friends, right? And your girlfriend.
Yes.
And at that point, you say to Jack and Tyler, stop the car, right?
Yes.
And you say, I love you guys, I'm going with Kenzie, right?
I don't remember if I said anything. I just remember going and getting in.
And you get out of the car,
Yes.
and they take off. Tyler gets in the front seat. Do you recall Tyler getting in the front seat? They take off, right? You remember seeing them take off?
No.
You don't remember? You just remember you getting in the car and that's it?
And then we drove off. Yeah.
Okay. Now you were in Mackenzie's car and you were listening to music.
Yeah.
It was a quiet ride, right? Outside of the music, there was no talking, right?
Keenan talked to me.
Keenan was talking. And when you got into Mackenzie's sister's car, you didn't call the police at that point, right?
No.
Because you were shocked, right? You were shocked at that point?
Still panic and everything.
Panic? And you indicated that you didn't realize you stabbed anybody, but you were still in a panic?
Yeah.
And you indicated that you dropped off Keenan and Dimitri, right?
Yeah.
Mackenzie was still upset. She didn't want to talk to you.
Yes.
And in fact, when they dropped you off in Milford, you asked to talk to Mackenzie, right?
Yes.
And she would not talk to you, right?
Yes.
And you got inside your house,
Yes.
and you got inside your house after midnight, right?
I don't remember the time.
It was late, right?
Yeah.
Would you agree that the video from 36 Laurel Glen has 11:40 when you initially go down the street and about 11:53 when you're taking off and leaving the area for good? Do you recall that?
I'm not sure what time it was.
But it was late, right?
Yeah.
And your mother's packing for Florida.
Yeah.
And your brother's packing for Florida
Yes.
because you had an early flight. And you weren't going at that point, right?
They,
Just prior to coming home, you were not going to Florida?
yes.
Right. But when you got home, you decided you were going to Florida at that point, right?
When my mom had asked me, yes.
And you had told your mother what had happened, right?
Bits and pieces.
And at that point in time, you didn't call the police.
No.
You didn't tell them your side of the story, right?
Even after, the police never asked me anything.
All right, I've moved to the strike as non-responsive, Your Honor.
I will strike the witness's testimony following the response of no, ladies and gentlemen.
So you didn't call the police that night, right?
No.
As a matter of fact, while Mackenzie is driving home, she engages in a text message with you, right?
Yes.
States 97. Around 12:26 a.m., right? This is when the text messages are going on. You're already home at this point, right?
Yes.
She's driving home at this point, right?
I have no idea.
You texted with each other shortly after her dropping you off, correct?
I don't remember when. I just know I texted with her.
Within how long?
How long what?
How long were you home before you started texting?
I don't know.
You don't recall. But in any event, you talk to your girlfriend, and you tell her, I didn't do anything, I wasn't there, stop texting. You know that was a lie, right?
Yeah, I was just panicking. I didn't know what to say.
States 98. Again, I wasn't there. That was a lie, right? Because you were there, right?
Yeah.
States 99. Don't text me, I'm going to Florida, right?
Yeah.
So at that moment in time, what you thought was important was to go to Florida instead of calling the police, right?
I didn't know what to think.
My question to you is, at that point in time, you decided to go to Florida instead of calling the police, right?
I don't know what I was
Did you call the police in this moment? No, right? So at that point in time, you said, I'm going to Florida, right? You told McKenzie that, right?
I texted her, yes.
You didn't say, I'm calling the police, right?
No.
Because you told her you weren't there, right?
I was just freaking out. I didn't really know what to say.
States 100. I can't text anything, I wasn't there. You can't text anything because, why? Because you're afraid of making an admission?
No.
And again, you're saying I wasn't there. That's 3 times you're telling your girlfriend who was with you at the scene that you weren't there, right?
Yes.
So you go to Florida early the next day with your mother and your brother, right?
Yes.
And you were going to Florida to see your other brother, right?
Yes.
And what was your other brother doing in Florida?
Living
Living? Where was he living?
in Stewart, Florida.
Stewart? And you were down there for a day?
I don't remember how long I was down there.
Do you remember flying home with your mother on Monday night, the 16th of May?
I remember flying home. I don't remember exactly what day it was.
You indicated on direct examination that you found out the severity of what had happened when you were in Florida, right?
Yes.
Now, who did you find that out through?
I can't remember exactly, but one of my friends had texted me.
One of your friends had texted you. And when you found out the severity of what had happened while you were in Florida, you didn't call the police at that point either, did you?
No.
Do you recall the day that you flew home?
No.
Would looking at a document help to refresh your recollection?
Sure.
May I approach the witness, Your Honor? Do you remember to refresh as to when you came home?
Yeah.
When did you come home?
You showed me that at like 7 or 10 p.m.
10 p.m. on the 16th, right? And at some point in time on the 16th, were you aware that there was a warrant for your arrest?
I think at that time, no.
No? And you indicated that the next day you slept late? Were you sleeping to the afternoon?
Yeah. No, I
And
was sleeping, like,
you were sleeping. And at some point you found out that there was a warrant for your arrest, right? But you didn't turn yourself in when you woke up, right?
Yes, I got in the car with my dad and instantly.
Isn't it true you didn't turn yourself in until 4 in the morning on Wednesday, the 18th?
Yeah, it was around that time.
So it wasn't the next day after you got home from Florida, right?
I don't remember when it was.
At some point in time after the incident on May 14th of 2022, Tyler Da Silva texts you, or calls you on the phone, rather. Do you remember that?
He never called me.
And you had a conversation with him, right?
He never called me.
And you told him you fucked up, right?
He never called me. I called him and he never answered.
So on the 18th of May, when you turned yourself in, the police took pictures of you that counsel went through with you, right? And this is a picture, States 34, that's a picture of the front right side of your face, right?
Yes.
No blood, no serious contusions like Ryan Hines, right?
This was days after.
Days after, so you're a quick healer?
Yes. Right. The pictures of Ryan Hines were the same day, I think.
Stage 35. No serious contusions on your face, right? No serious black and blues, right?
No, this is
Right? This was 3 days later, right?
I don't know how many days.
Stage 36. A little bit of the black and blue on your left eye there, right? But nothing huge, right? Right?
Objection, Your Honor. These speak for themselves. He's asking him to give an opinion on medical injury.
Right? You don't have the serious black and blue on your eye, right?
Guess not.
Stage 37. The rear of your head. Can't really see any serious contusions on the back of your head in this picture, right? 4 days later.
I see one.
You see one. Where do you see it?
Left side.
On the left side, right. So we have stage 38. We can show that right here. Again, not really that area there. 4 days later. Doesn't really look like the black and blues that Tommy Connery had a month later, right? Doesn't really look like the black and blues that Ryan Hines had on the side of his body.
Objection, Your Honor. Asking him to make a comparison between somebody else's injuries and what are in these photos, it's improper.
That's the state of his argument.
And you have a scratch mark, states 40, right? It's a little scratch mark on your right arm.
Yes.
States 42, no real marks on your hands, right?
No.
States 43. Again, no marks on your hands, right?
No.
So just to confirm, on May 14th of 2022, you were the only one with a knife at Tyler Rich's house, correct?
No idea.
Did somebody else have a knife at Tyler Rich's house?
Not that I know of.
You didn't see anybody else with a weapon that night, right?
I didn't look for any weapons.
You didn't see any, did you?
I didn't look.
You didn't see any, did you?
No, I didn't look.
There were 4 people that were stabbed that night, right?
Yes.
And those 4 people had 9 stab wounds, correct?
I believe so, yes.
And you're the one responsible for that, correct?
At the time, I didn't know who got stabbed or where they got stabbed or when they got stabbed.
You're the one who was responsible for those stab wounds, correct?
I don't know. I guess so, yes.
No more further questions, Your Honor. Thank you.
Briefly, Your Honor. Mr. Valle, do you remember Mr. Durso asking you about having an interaction with some of the Shelton High kids at the intersection of Laurel Glen and Farmhouse Lane?
Yes.
And we saw a video of a vehicle coming by, and you testified that that's when Mr. Snyder gave you the knife.
They tossed it to me, yes.
And then you saw some of those Shelton High kids come up and approach you, right?
Yes.
And you had the knife then, right?
Yes.
And you got sprayed in the face with WD-40?
Yes.
Why didn't you use the knife then?
I wasn't in fear of my life. I had no reason to use it.
You went back down to 43 Laurel Glen Drive in Jack Snyder's car, right?
Yes.
You had the knife that Jack Snyder had given you at that point, right?
Yes.
You used it then?
No.
You used it when you got down there and you were confronted with those kids and you're on the ground as you've described for us here?
Yes.
Why?
Felt like the only thing that was going to save me.
Nothing further.
Anything further?
Mr. Valley, you had the knife when you were down at the corner of Farmhouse Lane and Laurel Glen, right?
Yes.
And you willingly got back into Jack's car, right?
Yes.
And you went back to Tyler Rich's house, right?
Yes.
And you willingly got out of the car at Tyler Rich's house, correct?
To make peace.
You got out of Tyler Rich's car with the knife, correct?
Yes.
And you walked onto the property at that point, correct?
Yes.
You had no right to be there, correct?
I don't know.
You didn't have an invitation to be on the property, correct?
When we first arrived, it's not like they came and threw us out or anything.
Well, you told us before, sir, that you were scared and panicked for your life when the kids were rocking and throwing things at the car, right?
Yes.
You didn't want to be there in that situation, right?
Yes.
But you went back with a knife to Tyler Rich's house, the very same house that you were in the car, and with things being thrown at where you were panicked and scared, right?
The knife was already in my pocket.
Right.
Yes.
But you went back to that house where you said you were panicked and scared in the car minutes before when they were rocking and throwing things at the car, correct? And you got out of that car with the knife to go confront those kids, right?
I didn't go and confront them because I...
But you got out of the car with the knife, right? And you walked on the property.
Yes.
No further questions.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
You may accept the witness. Please get to step as the untitled.